It's 8:30. Good morning. I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. A decision is expected to be delivered today on the future of Newcastle's park and ride bus service. It's reported the state government is set to cease funding the service at the end of the month, meaning the trips between the football stadium and the CBD would no longer operate. The Rail, Tram and Bus Union claims the cut is an attack on local commuters, which could force them onto more expensive on-demand services in future. Union Secretary David Bamino says the city needs to have an integrated transport system.
There's got to be some genuine sort of planning to this, and we need to remove the politics of it because, unfortunately, as we see, the common sense options that are actually servicing people in a meaningful way, such as the park and ride, just fall by the wayside when they're no longer needed.
2 people have survived a horrific crash when their four-wheel drive overturned on a remote property in the Upper Hunter overnight. The 2 men, aged 54 and 27, were out feeding cattle at about 7:30 last night on the property in Upper Rookel when their vehicle overturned and rolled, coming to rest at the bottom of a steep gully. One of them managed to raise the alarm, but ground crews were unable to locate the crash site. The Hunters Westpac rescue helicopter used a powerful searchlight to find the wreckage. Both men were flown to the John Hunter Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The Chief of Newcastle's Highway Patrol says she's very worried about the number of near misses involving cars and trams in the CBD. There have been a number of incidents since the light rail started last month, with police dashcam footage showing drivers running red lights and disobeying road rules. Chief Inspector Amanda Calder has told NBN in one case the driver of a ute is seen to turn off Hunter Street into the path of an oncoming tram in Worth Place.
He could have come into contact with a tram full of people, and that could have been really horrific. Please look at the associated web pages and familiarise yourself, or come for a drive. Take your time.
Newcastle Knights centre Tatao Mogo has escaped conviction over his assault on a taxi driver on Boxing Day, but could still be in trouble with the club. Under the Knights' new behaviour policy, Mogo could end up being slapped with a fine of more than $90,000. The 25-year-old will face the club's football committee in the next fortnight to learn his fate. A University of Newcastle research project hopes to uncover the history of mental health services in the local area. The study is looking for participants willing to be interviewed to help document experiences of services between the 1970s and 80s. Researcher Robin Dunlop says she hopes this study will improve treatment and care available in the local area.
We also want to broaden the focus to look at how it's impacted the community. And by that I'm talking about the families and the carers and the friends of people who had experience of mental illness. Their experiences and their reflections are really important to consider too.
2NURFM Sport.
Newcastle Knights forward Aidan Guerra has warned his side to be wary of the wounded Penrith Panthers ahead of their round 2 NRL match tomorrow night. The Knights are flying high off the back of their 14-8 win over Cronulla last week, while Penrith suffered a shock 20-12 loss to last year's Wooden Spooners Parramatta. Guerra says the Panthers will be fired up ahead of the clash, with the Sydney-based club having a point to prove after a disappointing first outing. Newcastle Jets backup goalkeeper Luis Italiano says he has his sights firmly set on eventually snatching the number 1 position for himself. Italiano has only managed a handful of appearances for the club this season as he bides his time behind first-choice shot stopper Glenn Moss. Italiano says despite his ambitions, he's happy to do what he can for the team. And Merryweather's Jackson Baker has been unable to replicate his success from last week's Surfest competition, with the 22-year-old eliminated in round 3 of the Sydney Surf Pro in Manly. Baker only managed to come third in his heat with a score of 10.17, falling nearly 2 points short of second place. Newcastle's female contingent didn't fare any better, with Philippa Anderson and Sarah Boehm also eliminated yesterday. And the winning numbers in Powerball are 31, 30, 20, 14, 29, 27 and 3, and the Powerball number is 7. 2NURFM News Time, 26 to 9.